Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 65, 606 The Confrontation. 65th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The Demon Kingdom's new scholar, Wenren Tinghai's spiritual artifact warship, was a 7th rank 1000 inscriptions artifact. The ship housed 3 great formations crafted by top-tier holy spiritual masters, their power self-evident, which multiplied the ship's value several times over. Even though Wenren Tinghai's ancestor had been a living demon lord, his current cultivation level would normally disqualify him from commanding such a vessel. However, the Demon Kingdom's campaign to conquer the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, coupled with the Crown Prince's faction's desire to capture Li Huayi and locate Yu Yaozi and Zhenhai Guanwu, justified equipping him with this major artifact for these dual missions. Wenren Tinghai named the ship, Tinghai Ship, signaling his intention to keep it permanently and demonstrating his confidence in completing his mission. The Tinghai ship's main hall was exceptionally spacious and lavishly decorated, illuminated by octagonal palace lanterns and filled with the fragrant smoke of incense burning in a censer. Born into a noble family, Wenren Tinghai was a man who understood how to enjoy life to the fullest. The steaming, fragrant wine on the table was, Drunk Immortal, a rare vintage purchased from Xiaoyao Jing's century-old shop. Aged for 600 years, it lived up to its name, capable of intoxicating even immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. Each flask was worth a fortune. Wenren Tinghai watched Zhao Tang and Li Huayi across the table, who were draining cup after cup of wine with gusto. His expression was cold and dark, and he bitterly regretted not poisoning the wine beforehand. These members of the Xiaoyang division clearly had no concept of courtesy. This wine must be incredibly expensive, Li Huayi exclaimed, it restores spiritual qi so quickly. Zhao Tang, wearing a Confucian scholar's cap and with refined features, looked scholarly as he held up his cup with a smile. This wine is brewed from rare fruits harvested from 10,000-year-old trees, then aged in spirit crystal-lined vats. Its spiritual qi is dense, its essence boundless, and each flask costs a fortune. Moreover, it's not something ordinary people can buy, we're all benefiting from the Crown Prince's connections. He drained another cup, savoring the taste. Qing Zijin had been taken to an adjacent cabin by Nangong and Yan Zhiro to recover from her injuries. Tang Wanzhou sat opposite Wenren Tinghai, her sword resting on the table. Through the half-open window beside her, the vast, bright expanse of the Void Ruins ancient clan stretched out. The moonlight bathed her jade-like face in an ethereal glow. After a long silence, Wenren Tinghai finally smirked. If it were just the fallen spirit army from the 7 vengeful plains in ancient Yi City, what would our demon kingdom have to fear? Let them come, we'll bury them all. Moreover, the demon kingdom is undoubtedly their ultimate target. The Sentinel Spirit Army is the dead spirit's greatest enemy. The Rice Palace's true disciple and Chu Yutian share a deep-seated feud. The Western monster race and the 7 vengeful plains are locked in constant conflict. Once you've both exhausted yourselves, the Demon Kingdom will emerge to clean up the mess, collecting your treasures after death, as well as the treasures of those who slay the fallen spirit remnants. That's the wisest course of action. If you want the Demon Kingdom to join your attack, to pay a terrible price alongside you, to bash our heads against the wall until we bleed. Well, that could be arranged. After all, facing the nether realm of the dead, all living beings should unite, sharing a common hatred and setting aside petty grievances. Wenren Tinghai's lips curled into a sinister smile as his captivating phoenix eyes locked onto Tang Wanzhou's face at close range. After a long moment, he continued, but there's a condition, hand over Li Huayi to me. If you capture Li Huayi and deliver him to Xiaoyao Jing, or allow me to soul search him to uncover Yu Yaozi's secrets, the Demon Kingdom will pay any price. Holy Commander, 2 choices. Which will you choose? Li Huayi and Zhao Tang immediately lost their appetite for drinking. Zhao Tang scoffed. I never imagined the esteemed new scholar of the Demon Kingdom could be so short-sighted, so unable to discern right from wrong in the face of such critical matters. What's the point in negotiating with someone like that? Holy Commander, let's just go straight to Jiyu Junxiang. Wenren Tinghai leaned back in his chair, his back pressing against the backrest, and waved his hand dismissively. Please, be my guests. You still have one option, flee immediately. You might just make it. But Li Huayi, the Demon Kingdom will capture him no matter what. Zhao Tang slammed his hand heavily on the table. No old grudges, no personal vendettas, yet you openly plot against the Sentinel Spirit Army. Does the scholar understand the consequences of such an act? Do I? I was just speaking hypothetically. Don't take it seriously. Even if I were to act, I'd conceal my identity perfectly, leaving you no evidence whatsoever. Wenren Tinghai whispered, cupping his hand to his mouth, his unrestrained arrogance deliberately provoking his opponent's anger. He relished provoking his opponent's anger. Stoking anger was the simplest, most direct, and most effective way to weaken an opponent. Tang Wanzhou rose to her feet, her gaze sharp and piercing. I had intended to prioritize the greater good and temporarily set aside our grievances from the East Sea depths. But you've truly angered me now. What can you do? Even with enough dragon soul source light, reaching the peak of the third immortal realm would take at least 2 or 3 years. I doubt Chu Yutian will let you live that long. Once news of you breaking the third immortal shackle spreads, a storm of blood and carnage will inevitably descend upon you. Wenren Tinghai's cultivation had already advanced from the early to the peak of the third immortal realm. He could indeed sense a dangerous aura emanating from Tang Wanzhou, but nothing more. He didn't believe Tang Wanzhou could possibly defeat him by bridging 2 minor realms. Wenren Tinghai deliberately laid out his conditions openly, hoping to sow discord between Tang Wanzhou and Li Wei. In his view, Tang Wanzhou might refuse now. But if the Xiaoyang division were cornered and she herself faced utter desperation, she might well use Li Wei as a bargaining chip in a deal with the Demon Kingdom. Once suspicion and mistrust festered between them, Wenren Tinghai would have his opening. Unbeknownst to him, Li Wei had already reached a level of combat prowess that even an imperial disciple like Wenren Tinghai had to take seriously. The Xiaoyang division disembarked from the Tinghai ship and boarded the jade boat. Wenren Tinghai stood at the warship's railing, calling out from afar, I forgot to mention, Jiyu Junxiang has entered Chun's. Now, the Demon Kingdom's forces in the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom are under my command. Holy Commander, I await your good news. Yu Qi, the Demon Kingdom's foremost expert under 100 years old and a member of the imperial family, watched the jade boat depart. He said gravely, why didn't we strike while they were aboard? With the ship's formation, we could have suppressed them entirely, or at least captured Li Wei and that mysterious woman from the Void Ruins Ancient Clan. Nangong's true identity as a member of the Void Ruins Ancient Clan was a secret to most, but the Demon Kingdom's upper echelons were fully aware. As one of the 3 key figures overseeing the Demon Kingdom's strategy in the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, Yu Qi naturally took a keen interest in Nangong. He was intrigued by her secrets and by her personally, knowing her to be the most beautiful woman in the Holy Hall's life realm. Because they're Sentinel Spirit Army soldiers. Killing them would carry severe consequences, Wenren Tinghai replied, his hands clasped behind his back as he returned to the main hall. What truly concerned him was the possibility that Li Wei carried some means bestowed by Yu Yaozi. If they were to strike, it would have to be a covert ambush, a swift, decisive blow to take them by surprise. Or perhaps they could let the Taiyan sect serve as cannon fodder first. Having suffered such a crushing defeat, how could the Taiyan sect possibly let it go? The Void Ruins Ancient Clan sphere occupied a quarter of their forward view, its spherical form now clearly visible. Before it, the mountains appeared as low as black mounds of earth. Mo Duanfeng saved us, Li Wei said, he's still alive. The others present showed visible relief. That's wonderful. But why hasn't he rejoined us? Yan Zhuro asked, her pipa slung across her back, her severed hand now reattached. Tang Wanzhou stood at the ship's prow, her expression grave as she scanned their surroundings. He was originally confident he could outmaneuver the Taiyan sect, but Chu Yutian severely wounded him, even seizing his sword and sentinel's whistle. A man as proud as him, how could he face us? If I were him, I'd hide too. But Bai Chuan is dead. Li Wei then recounted Jingzhen's soul devour possession, and mentioned Lu Qing, who was still hanging outside Fanyi Valley. The group fell silent. Zhao Tang said, regardless, if Bai Chuan hadn't held back the Taiyan sect's top experts during the battle at Fanyi Valley, we might not have escaped. This debt must be repaid. Jingjun must die. Li Wei suddenly turned to Nangong. Nangong, if you don't tell us the truth now, I suggest we abandon our cultivation in the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom immediately and evacuate. Cultivating in the Nether domain can indeed help us catch up to martial mystic cultivators older than us. But each week cycle lasts only about a year. Even if we cultivate there for all 10 years, it's still a limited time. Compared to the dangers we'll face next, I believe abandoning our efforts might be the wiser choice. The others present were no fools, they had long sensed that Nangong was hiding something. However, Li Wei's sudden confrontation still surprised and intrigued them. What was the reason for this? Nangong stood at the stern of the ship, her white mask gleaming in the wind, her dark hair swaying in the breeze. She met their gazes before turning to Li Wei. You've pushed me to the edge of a cliff. By confronting Nangong publicly before the Xiaoyang division, rather than in private, Li Wei aimed to obtain a clear answer immediately and make a decisive decision. His sense of impending crisis was overwhelming, he couldn't afford to delay any longer. Tang Wanzhou, unable to fully grasp the nuances of their exchange but sensing hidden truths, asked, what's really going on? Li Wei said, it's said the Void Ruins Ancient Clan has long mastered a way to evade the curse and freely enter and exit the Wither Flourish zone. The Fallen Spirit Army's invasion is likely to verify this. What? Even Tang Wanzhou, Zhao Tang, and Yan Zhuro, individuals known for their composure, couldn't help but be shocked. Seeing Nangong's expression, they knew the claim was likely true. No wonder. No wonder the Demon Kingdom has been mass migrating its people into the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom. They must have suspected this as well, Zhao Tang exclaimed, finally understanding. Li Wei added, it's not just the Demon Kingdom. Experts from the Rice Palace are also searching for answers along the border. Nangong, what do you say? Nangong neither confirmed nor denied, her tone gentle. I cannot answer you, for I cannot make this decision. She then bowed deeply. Please, I beg you all to keep this secret. Do not reveal a single word of it. The others understood. Her silence was confirmation. Seeing Nangong's caution and humility, Li Wei felt a pang of guilt. He secretly questioned whether pressuring her like this had been wrong. After all, the lives of countless clansmen rested on Nangong's shoulders. The jade boat, over 30 meters long, sliced through the waves with remarkable speed. Li Wei walked to the bow of the ship and stood shoulder to shoulder with Tang Wanzhou. Releasing a spiritual light barrier to isolate them from the outside world, he asked, did I make a mistake? Tang Wanzhou chuckled. You merely voiced a suspicion many already harbored. How she chose to respond was her decision. She chose to trust us, hence her affirmative answer. If Chu Yutian had asked her the same question, do you think she would have responded the same way? She trusts us, so she didn't want to deceive us. Li Wei said. More than that, Tang Wanzhou replied, I believe she needs something from us, though she hasn't voiced it yet. If she asks, will you help? Li Wei asked. Tang Wanzhou pondered for a long moment, then suddenly said, perhaps we should discuss whether to withdraw first. I don't want to retreat. As Wenren Tinghai said, the combined forces of the 7 vengeful plains in ancient Yi City aren't yet insurmountable. On the contrary, this is a battle unlike any our living beings have ever faced, a battle where we hold the advantage. We may never encounter such an opportunity again. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 66, 607, Yu Yaozi's Grand Ambition. 66th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei felt a surge of curiosity. Young lord, what brilliant insights do you have? Share them with us. Tang Wanzhou replied, throughout history, the power of the nether realm of the dead has far surpassed that of the living realms. During calamities, it's no surprise to see the emergence of powerful beings or countless dead spirits. But this time, with the Wither Flourish Zone acting as a barrier, how many dead spirits could possibly enter? Great immortal level dead spirits are almost non-existent here. Would we ever encounter such a situation outside? If we dared to unleash such carnage in the outside world, we'd inevitably provoke great immortal level entities, even transcendent level ghost kings and corpse kings. That's point 1. Point 2. What do you think of my cultivation speed? Li Wei chuckled. In southern Yingzhou, you're one of the few who can be counted on one hand. Even the offspring of transcendent women have been left in your dust. It's all thanks to resources and the countless battles I've fought to survive, Tang Wanzhou said. Li Wei was moved. She continued, with the combined resources of the ancient myriad sects, nurturing a martial mystic cultivator to the immortal realm is the absolute limit. Beyond that, they must rely entirely on their own efforts. Li Wei nodded slowly. Upon reaching the immortal realm, even a single low-grade spiritual crystal would be worth millions of Xuanhuan coins. The ancient myriad sects could use such wealth to forge an entire army. A low-grade S5 Pirat pill is even more expensive. Tang Wanzhou said, this is a once-in-a-millennium opportunity to amass wealth and prepare for great immortal cultivation. I have no desire to spend centuries in great immortal cultivation. Of course, this is a necessary choice for us third immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. For you, Changyu Jian, and Lu Yi, simply cultivate in seclusion until the trial ends. I'm not inferior to third immortal realm martial mystic cultivators either, Li Wei replied. The wealth he had acquired from slaying the fallen spirit marquis was already a staggering sum, and that didn't even include the future rewards from the Sentinel Spirit Army. Therefore, he understood better than anyone else the once-in-a-millennium opportunity Tang Wanzhou spoke of. Tang Wanzhou continued, but you've been targeted by Wenren Tinghai. Don't underestimate him. Remember, Heavenly Emperor's disciples and true disciples of the ancient sects can defeat all others in the same cultivation realm once they break through. Even in the early Third Immortal Realm, he's stronger than Qin Zhengyang and Qingzhao at the peak of the Third Realm. Li Wei sighed. It's said that upon reaching Great Immortal, Heavenly Emperor's disciples and true disciples of the ancient sects become each other's rivals within the same realm. The rest of the world can only compete for the title of Invincible below True Disciple. Is it already like this in the Third Immortal Realm? After reaching the Third Immortal Realm, Tang Wanzhou radiated confidence. She chuckled. Stop sighing. If someone in the First Immortal Realm can defeat someone in the Third Immortal Realm, why shouldn't the Heavenly Emperor's disciples and true disciples of the ancient sect be invincible within their own realms? At that moment, Tang Wanzhou was unaware that Li Wei, relying solely on his combat prowess and giving his all, could already match the Tai Yin envoy at the peak of the Third Realm. A single sword strike from him could repel ordinary Third Immortal Realm peak cultivators. As for capturing Qingzhou, that had been achieved by harnessing the power of 4 battle corpse puppets, a strength that couldn't be sustained for long. Li Wei had already checked the immortal golden cores within the 4 battle corpse puppets. The remaining spiritual chi could only support 1 more blood awakened corpse fight. This final use couldn't be wasted. As for the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, Li Wei wouldn't deploy them in true disciple-level conflicts until they reached the second realm of the immortal realm. Losing even one would be an unacceptable loss. After a brief laugh, Li Wei asked with concern, "I heard you were seriously injured again. In the past 2 years in Chun City, I've fought dozens of battles, big and small. Getting injured is just part of the job. Nothing worth mentioning." Tang Wanzhou deliberately avoided the question, then said with utmost seriousness, "The situation here is incredibly complex, with experts as numerous as the clouds. Take my advice, go into seclusion with the Changyu Jian and Luyi to cultivate. By harnessing the power of Shaoyang Star, you can break free from the soul return shackle in no time." With that, Tang Wanzhou turned and walked toward Nangong, where the two of them began to confer in hushed tones. There are over a dozen large lakes like this around Chun City, scattered across a vast area spanning tens of thousands of miles, Zhao Tang remarked. "Did you know?" He continued, "This vast territory has erupted with boundless vitality, making it habitable for humans, comparable to a small to medium-sized living realm. Look, the Demon Kingdom has already begun large-scale population transfers. From the Jade Boat, they could now see the opposite shore. On the shore, groups of residents disembarked from a spiritual artifact colossal warship. These were the descendants of disgraced officials and exiled clans from the Demon Kingdom, banished to this place. It was easy to imagine that they would soon begin building settlements around the lake. As long as martial mystic cultivators continued to rotate and activate the Void Divine Token, they could continuously bring in more people." Li Wei asked, "The Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom is full of dangers. Can they really survive here?" "Around Chun City, there are numerous 10,000 burial zones and spatial anomaly zones," Zhao Tang said, "their chances of survival are indeed slim. But the Demon Kingdom must have its reasons for doing this." The Shaoyang division disembarked from their ship and stepped onto the shore. Li Wei felt a piercing gaze fixed on him and followed the sensation to the Demon Kingdom's spiritual artifact colossal warship anchored nearby. A figure clad in crimson armor descended from the warship, gliding through the air to land a short distance away. "I am Xuanhuan of the Sacred Dark Family, the previous wielder of Blood Pool Silver Sea," he announced, his eyes locked on Li Wei. The Blood Pool Silver Sea, which Li Wei had seized, was a battle blade traditionally cultivated by each generation's young leader of the Sacred Dark Family. Yan Zhuro sent Li Wei a telepathic message. To conquer the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, the Demon Kingdom held a martial mystic competition among their third Immortal Realm warriors, extending the age limit to 200 years. The Imperial Guard selected 10 participants, and the Frontier Army did the same. Yu Qi ranked first among the Imperial Guard, while Xuanhuan topped the Frontier Army. "Don't ask how I know, my loyalty now lies with the Shaoyang division. The Holy Commander saved me." Li Wei turned to Xuanhuan with a smile. "Senior Shui, are you planning to buy a blade or steal one?" Xuanhuan's brow furrowed. The word, senior, blocked his intended challenge. "We can reclaim the Blood Pool Silver Sea, but we can never restore the honor the Sacred Dark Family has lost. And stealing it would restore your honor." Li Wei countered. "If we win by force, the world will acknowledge it," Xuanhuan declared. "Farewell, everyone." As Xuanhuan turned to leave, Li Wei quickly called out, "Senior Shui, why not challenge me? We can wager treasures of equal value." Xuanhuan didn't even glance back. In his mind, Li Wei was already a dead man. For him, killing you and reclaiming the Blood Pool Silver Sea would be more honorable than defeating you as his senior, Yan Zhuro observed. "So, was I wrong to call him senior?" Li Wei asked. "No, you were being perfectly polite," Zhao Tang reassured him. Back on the spiritual artifact colossal warship, Xuanhuan received a talisman from Wenrenting Hai. After reading its contents, his expression twisted in shock as he stared in the direction where the Shaoyang division had vanished. Capture Qingzhou. How is that even possible? Chun City, the capital of the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, was named after the sacred tree, Great Chun, that once stood at its center. Of course, the Great Chun had long been felled, becoming one of Wuxia's opportunities to break through and ascend to immortality. The ruined capital lay divided, half shrouded in nether spirit chi, the other bathed in the moonlight of the void ruins. A shimmering expanse of water separated the two halves. The city walls remained remarkably intact, majestic and imposing, their surfaces overgrown with arm-thick vines. Yet beneath the walls, the land was thick with yin qi, a gray, hazy landscape littered with broken tombstones, seas of corpses, shattered weapons, and blood that had never dried in 10,000 years. Many years ago, a nation-destroying war had erupted here, burying over 100 million martial mystic cultivators. The eternally undried bloodstains belonged to the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor, imbued with the curse of the Void Ruins Empress. Any immortal realm martial mystic cultivator who touched them would face dire calamity. What do you think? Yu Yaozi's voice echoed from the Dao ancestors' Tai Chi fish, reaching Li Wei's ears. How would it be for us to rebuild the Lingxiao life realm within the Void Ruins ancient kingdom? Li Wei, walking through the ruined ancient city, was shocked by Yu Yaozi's sudden ambition. He replied telepathically, the Void Ruins ancient kingdom is already coveted by various factions and lies deep within the nether realm of the dead. It's not a wise choice. On the contrary, I believe it's an excellent choice, Yu Yaozi said. The Wither Flourish Zone can serve as a great wall protecting our nation. By connecting ancient Yi City and the Seven Grievances Plain, we can link them to the Lingxiao life realm and then oversee the East Sea. My strength alone is insufficient, of course, but with the Mist Master's return, Lingxiao Palace will undoubtedly rise to unprecedented heights. Restoring the 300 provinces is merely a trivial matter. By breaching the Cave Void Ghost City, annihilating this nether realm of the dead, and connecting it to the 100 realms of life domain, we will control a territory spanning 3,000 provinces. Then, we will sweep away all demons, monsters, and ghosts from southern Yingzhou, restoring clarity to this turbid world and reshaping the luminous cosmos. This is the true grand achievement, benefiting all under heaven and ushering in an era of eternal peace. At that time, the people of the world will no longer have to endure such hardship. Darkness will forever retreat, and life will triumph over death. The first step toward this vision is to seize the Void Ruins ancient kingdom. Li Wei was moved by her vision of the future. He had to admit that Yu Yaozi was a cultivator with lofty ideals and grand ambitions, truly capable of benefiting all under heaven once her cultivation reached fruition. She was not one of those selfish individuals who, no matter how high their cultivation, only cared for their own well-being. Having spent several years in Yingzhou, Li Wei had personally witnessed how human lives were treated as mere weeds, how survival was a constant struggle, how malevolent spirits lurked everywhere, and how darkness and the strange pressed down from all sides, suffocating the people. Master Coffin had once asked Li Wei what he was pursuing at this stage. Li Wei had never known how to answer. He wanted to say the martial mystic path. But wasn't every cultivator pursuing the martial mystic path, seeking greater power? Yet power itself was meaningless. It needed spiritual support, a purpose to realize its significance, and a consistent set of values to illuminate the path forward. Li Wei glimpsed that path dimly. Perhaps when he saw Master Coffin again, he would finally have an answer. Was the Grand Palace Master referring to us just now? Li Wei asked, surprised. Indeed, I meant us, Yu Yaozi replied. Yu Yaozi's voice echoed again, go and find out the current situation between the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom and the Void Ruins Ancient Clan. You still don't understand what it means to leverage power. What do you mean? Li Wei asked. Yu Yaozi explained, why didn't Nangong tell you the truth? Because you lack the weight to matter. Telling you would serve no purpose. But if you represent the Grand Palace Master and the Mist Master, you can directly negotiate with the Void Ruins Ancient Clan leaders. Negotiate what? Li Wei pressed. After a long silence, Yu Yaozi's voice returned, there's no need to rush. Wait a little longer. Let the flames burn even brighter. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 67, 608 The Taiyan Sect's Actions. 67th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Chun City was more than just a city, it was a 3,000-mile stretch of the Nether domain. The Nether spiritual chi was thick and heavy, shrouding the area in dense clouds and mist. After entering the city, the Shaoyang division members swiftly advanced along the waterway that divided the ancient city ruins into east and west. Leading the way, Tang Wanzhou constantly projected her spiritual chi outward, vigilantly scanning her surroundings. Her beautiful eyes, framed by long lashes, meticulously observed the water, forests, and sky, her mind taut with alertness. Li Wei carefully sensed his surroundings, detecting numerous figures with powerful chi. Some were secretly observing them, others were merely passing through, and some were chasing fleeing millennium essence herbs. Among them were many powerful members of the demon race. The demon race was primarily composed of feathered creatures such as exotic birds and spiritual birds, all of whom had reached the immortal realm and could undergo transformation. While most transformed into human forms, some Luan birds chose to transform into phoenixes, aspiring to one day fully evolve into the mythical bird. These demons hailed from the western reaches of the Lingxiao realm. The Lingxiao realm referred to them as the Western Monster Race. However, the humans of the 100-plus life realms in southern Yingzhou called their territory the Great Wilderness Demon Plains, a vast, unfathomable expanse teeming with billions of demons. The Flying Phoenix was merely one of the region's rulers, not its sole sovereign. A deputy sentinel lord from the cave void Dongshu camp, along with a large contingent of sentinel spirits, was specifically tasked with monitoring the Great Wilderness Demon Plains and gathering intelligence. Are many powerful figures from the demon race arriving? Li Wei asked Zhao Tang, who was walking beside him. To be precise, both the demon race and the demon kingdom have sent large numbers of powerful figures. Otherwise, why would Wenrentinghai fear neither the seven vengeful plains nor the army of the dead from ancient Yi City? Zhao Tang noticed Li Wei's confusion and smiled. For massive powers like these, the higher-ups don't care about the individual gains or losses of martial mystic cultivators. The will of those above dictates everything. What the demon kingdom's ancient clan and the demon race's demon kings need are time stones, nether soul divine essence, spiritual medicine, spiritual crystals, myriad inscriptions artifacts, and supreme artifacts. They're willing to sacrifice even immortal realm martial mystic cultivators to obtain them. Unlike our sentinel spirit army, where every loss is a significant blow due to our small numbers. We have to carefully calculate the trade-offs between lifespan depletion and cultivation advancement. Our purpose here is training and cultivation, which differs from their objectives. If the Life Realm Lords and martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperors were to learn that the Deputy Sentinel Lord had dispatched a large number of Sentinel spirits to the Void Ruins ancient kingdom solely to hunt for treasure, disregarding their lives, both the Deputy Sentinel Lord and the Sentinel Lord would likely face severe consequences. Li Wei's interest peaked. After all these years, can supreme artifacts still be found in the Void Ruins ancient kingdom? Zhao Tang replied, the 3 supreme artifacts known to the world were excavated from the Void Ruins ancient kingdom, not counting fragments of other supreme artifacts. Given the kingdom's former glory and the terrifying power of its 5 great armies, there must be more supreme artifacts buried beneath this wasteland. I heard Ji Yu Junxiang entered the 10,000 burials zone west of Chun City and found an ancient myriad inscriptions artifact. Now that he's gone to Chun's, he might make another major discovery. He's not a great immortal realm cultivator, yet he's even more formidable. His terrifying strength is virtually unparalleled among the Demon Kingdom's #1 scholars throughout history. By invoking the Heavenly Emperor's authority, he can suppress the strange entities in the 10,000 burials zone, achieving gains far beyond what others could. Chu Yutian fears him most, which is why the Taiyan sect hasn't dared to act recklessly in Chun City. Boom. In the distance, ghostly energy and Buddhist light erupted skyward. Another corpse cloud descended, causing the nether spiritual chi across a vast area to violently surge. It's the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison. The Taiyan sect and the nether realm of the dead are seizing this opportunity to launch their attack. Whoosh. Tang Wanzhou drew her sword, head eyes flashing with a cold glint. Activating the governor's robe, she vanished through spatial evasion. Nangong handed the weakened Qing Zijin, still on her mount's back, to Yan Zhiro. Chu Yutian will undoubtedly strike now that the Holy Commander has achieved her breakthrough. He won't let her cultivate to the peak of the 3rd immortal realm. I'm going to assist her. Be careful. With graceful poise, she mounted her steed, which soared into the sky on 4 hooves of pure light flame. Zhao Tang wore a mix of surprise and embarrassment. The Holy Commander clearly anticipated this. We don't need to worry about those 3 left behind. I think we should worry about ourselves first, Li Wei said, sensing an unusually chilling aura. He summoned the yellow dragon sword, gripping it in his hand as his spiritual chi surged within him. His gaze fixed on the moonlit water beside them. The water's surface rapidly froze over, ice spreading across it due to the intense cold. An unknown power was clearly coalescing beneath the surface. Let's go. The 4 activated their body techniques, fleeing swiftly into the forest. Boom. A silver corpse core shot out of the water, spinning rapidly to form a vortex of silver light. The frigid chi it unleashed surged outward from the water's edge, freezing everything in its path toward Li Wei and his companions. Zhao Tang, who had been running ahead, abruptly turned and thrust a sacred tree carved with formation glyphs into the ground before him. He was not only a martial mystic cultivator in the 3rd realm, the immortal realm, but also a holy spiritual master in the 3rd realm. Spiritual light erupted from the space between his eyebrows, pouring into the sacred tree. Countless formation glyphs flew from the tree, coalescing into concentric formation plates. Even the ground beneath Zhao Tang's feet was imprinted with intricate, glowing formation glyphs. Boom. As the silver corpse core crashed down, the areas around Zhao Tang not shielded by the formation plates were devastated. Trees toppled, rocks shattered, and ice crystals spread rapidly. Li Wei forged ahead through the forest, his brow glowing with 4-colored spiritual light that wove into a suit of armor. The armor radiated terrifying heat, perfectly harmonizing with his flesh and spiritual chi. Bloodshed had already begun the moment they entered the city. No wonder Tang Wanzhou had urged him to cultivate in seclusion. The situation and dangers in Chun City truly surpassed anything he had encountered elsewhere. Sensing a fluctuation in qi, Li Wei flicked his left hand, unleashing a wave of finger force that shot deep into the forest. Only after unleashing his strike did Li Wei have time to look. Through the swirling blue nether spiritual qi mist, about 100 zhang away, stood a figure in golden robes, holding a long spear with an air of proud defiance, his form flickering in and out of view. Bang! He raised his arm, holding the spear horizontally, blocking Li Wei's Sihang enlightenment finger. His long hair billowed, yet he didn't budge an inch. Countless scriptures then materialized along the spear's shaft, rotating in the air before the spear thrust forward in a piercing strike. Whoosh! Violent martial mystic qi erupted from the spear's tip, shattering all vegetation within 100 zhang radius between him and Li Wei. The Sihang enlightenment finger, delivered from a distance, could only unleash martial mystic Dao power, not the combined force of psychic martial mystic energy. Yet the ease with which it was neutralized revealed the opponent's unfathomable cultivation. Li Wei's eyes narrowed as spiritual qi surged from his ancestral field, summoning 108 lightning pillars around him. Sizzle. The lightning pillars twisted together, intercepting the golden-robed man's spear strike 10 zhang away. The clash of forces illuminated the area with a blinding, chaotic light. Indeed, you possess true strength. The golden-robed man's voice rumbled, deep and grave, your vigilance is remarkable, impossible to approach within 100 zhang. The information on the talisman was accurate. With a swift shift of his form, he began closing the distance to Li Wei and his companions at an alarming speed. His body cultivation technique and Dao technique were unfathomable, making it impossible to predict where he would strike next or from which direction his attack would come. Yan Zhiro recognized his identity immediately. It's Wei envoy Wangfu Song. She exclaimed urgently, among the 12 Tai Yin envoys, his martial mystic Dao talent is second to none. In the Dao Seed realm, he's known as one of the young celestial emperors. He entered seclusion upon arriving at the Void Ruins ancient kingdom. Now that he's emerged, his cultivation has likely reached the peak of the third immortal realm. Like the Shaoyang Guard, the 12 Tai Yin envoys weren't necessarily the strongest in terms of raw power, nor did their martial mystic Dao talent always correlate with their combat prowess. Many were still young, their cultivation yet to catch up. Take Chong Yujian of the Shaoyang Guard, for example. Apart from Li Wei, no one could surpass him in martial mystic Dao talent, yet his combat strength ranked near the bottom. Tang Wanzhou, as a Holy Division member, was in a separate category. Yan Zhiro knew Li Wei's current cultivation level was no match for Wangfu Song. She immediately set Qing Zijin down, released her spiritual qi, and retrieved her pipa, preparing to face the envoy herself. Wangfu Song's speed was astonishing. Before Yan Zhirio's fingers could even touch the pipa strings, countless razor-sharp martial mystic qi blasts had already slammed into her protective spiritual qi barrier. Behind the martial mystic qi barrage, Wangfu Song's spiritual artifact spear pierced forward. Li Wei shifted his stance, moving with the fluidity of a wisp of green smoke. He teleported upward, his sword arcing in a desperate counterstrike to deflect the spiritual artifact spear. Boom! Amidst the ripples of the colliding weapons, Yan Zhiro floated backward, her fingers plucking the pipa strings. A piercing pipa note rang out. A semi-transparent sonic blade, distorting space, shot past Li Wei's head and slashed toward Wangfu Song. Beyond the sonic blade, the attack carried a willpower strike, aimed directly at Wangfu Song's soul. Wangfu Song, aware of the soul-severing sound's potency and astonished by Li Wei's formidable power, retreated swiftly under the protection of the immortal scripture. Li Wei pressed his advantage, his sword's hum transforming into a dragon's roar as he unleashed a 20-zhang-long sword Qi Yellow Dragon. Swish! Swish! Yushi Dusk envoy Xuanhuan materialized behind Wangfu Song, summoning a formation river to block the sword Qi Yellow Dragon. The instant Li Wei unleashed the Yellow Dragon, a hidden master seized the opportunity to strike. A surge of danger made every hair on Li Wei's body stand on end. Having just expended his full strength in the sword strike, he had no time to dodge or parry. Relying solely on instinct, he twisted his body sideways. Shriek! An arrow woven with thunder and lightning and crimson light pierced through his protective spiritual qi, shattered his spiritual light armor, and grazed past his chest. Had he not twisted his body, the arrow would have struck him squarely in the back. The power of that arrow was such that even multiple layers of defense would have resulted in severe injuries. Boom! The arrow struck the ground several dozen feet away, creating a massive, lightning-scorched crater. A horn blared. Xuanhuan, Wangfu Song, and the silver corpse that had been restraining Zhao Tang immediately retreated at full speed. Li Wei, since you entered the immortal realm, all the talents of the world have been eclipsed by you. I predict that the day you reach the third immortal realm will be the day Ji Yu Junxiang, young master Shen Ji, and others bow their heads in submission, begging for their lives. Wangfu Song refuses to be second to anyone. Once he reaches the peak of the third immortal realm, he will undoubtedly return to pay you another visit. Wang Fusong's voice, long and resonant, carried across the vast distance. Li Wei didn't pursue. Instead, he gazed toward the distant city wall. The deadly arrow had been fired from the wall's summit. The assailant had retreated immediately after firing. They're just retreating like that? Yan Zhuo asked, incredulous. The battle at the encampment has also ended. The Taiyan sect's attack must have had ulterior motives, Zhao Tang said, striding over. His gaze toward Li Wei was filled with admiration. They wanted to use this battle to demonstrate Li Wei's strength to all the major powers, hoping to use you as a weapon. Brother Wei, your cultivation must be at the second realm of the immortal realm, right? Yan Zhuo's gaze also fell on Li Wei, her expression one of disbelief. Though Li Wei and Wang Fusong had only engaged in a probing exchange, she had discerned the underlying intricacies and formed a rough assessment of Li Wei's true strength. Tang Wanzhou's combat prowess in the second immortal realm had already secured her the vacant position of number 1 scholar in the Sword Dao Imperial Court. Now, with Li Wei emerging from the Shaoyang division, it would be impossible for him to avoid becoming a target for various factions. It's just a secret technique of psychic martial mystic fusion. Li Wei declared, striding toward the crimson feather arrow embedded in the thunder-scorched crater. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 68, 609, Shenji. 68th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Upon hearing Li Wei's confirmation, Zhao Tang and Yan Zhuo exchanged glances, silently realizing why he had feigned the crippling of his ancestral field in the Dao Seed realm and sought marriage with the Zhuoqiu clan. It would have been a miracle for the Zhu Li tribe to protect a heavenly pride of his caliber. Li Wei withdrew the 5-foot-long arrow, as thick as a man's thumb. Forged from a special material, it weighed over 1,000 jin, making it 1,000 inscriptions artifact-level arrow. This single arrow alone was immensely valuable. The feathers at its tail were peacock plumes, radiating dense demonic qi. Yan Zhuo understood the danger they had just faced. Had it been her, she might have been blasted apart by the arrow, as ordinary 1,000 inscriptions artifact battle armor would have been utterly useless against it. The bow used to fire that arrow was no ordinary weapon, she said, it must have been at least a 7th grade 1,000 inscriptions artifact. Zhao Tang asked, the demon clan. Li Wei shook his head slightly. I do have a mortal enemy among the demons, but why would he make such an obvious move? It's too blatant. The demon kingdom is a more likely suspect. Yan Zhuo countered, within the demon kingdom, only Shui Sangguan, Yu Qi, and the 3 heavenly emperors' disciples could have fired such an arrow. Among them, Shui Sangguan and Wenrentinghai are the most probable culprits. Given Wenrentinghai's cultivation and temperament, she added, he would never settle for a mere long-range ambush. Li Wei sheathed the crimson arrow into his boundary pouch. From that moment on, Shui Sangguan was added to his kill list. Tang Wanzhou arrived to find everyone unharmed. She reached the same conclusion as Zhao Tang. The Taiyan sect had deliberately revealed Li Wei's true strength. The impact of witnessing something firsthand far surpassed that of mere rumors. Do you understand why you were in such danger just now? Tang Wanzhou asked Li Wei after hearing Yan Zhuo's account. In terms of combat experience, no one present could compare to Tang Wanzhou. Li Wei replied, surrounded by formidable enemies, I should have reserved 30% of my strength for contingencies, using only 70% for offense. But because the opportunity was fleeting, I poured 90% of my power into the strike against Wang Fusong, leaving myself vulnerable. Fortunately, the remaining 10% allowed me to barely evade the counterattack. Had I used my full strength, the consequences would have been catastrophic. Tang Wanzhou nodded. In the East Sea, assassinating Qin Zhengyang required urgency and leaving no room for retreat to succeed. But in Chun City, whoever rushes will make mistakes. We must slow down, especially you and I. Do you understand what I mean? Li Wei gazed into the distance, sensing the intense fluctuations of battle. 2 figures shot across the sky, rapidly moving away from the city. The Immortal Sutra scriptures shimmered like starlight, as if 2 gods were locked in a spiritual duel. Chu Yudian. In the netherworld of Fanyi Valley, Li Wei had sensed Chu Yudian's vital energy from afar. Tang Wanzhou said, I anticipated that the Tai Yin sect would make a move when we came out to meet you in Qing Zijin. So I asked a friend to watch over the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison. She paused slightly before saying, friend, her true meaning being, ally. Anyone who can contend with Chu Yudian must be extraordinary, Li Wei remarked. Tang Wanzhou replied, the foremost figure under 100 years old at Calamity Crossing Temple, Shenji. Li Wei had long heard that Calamity Crossing Temple had 2 Immortal Realm experts vying for the true disciple status. Qi Zhanru was one, but Shenji was the stronger of the 2. Yaoyan possessed even greater martial mystic talent, but she was too young, not yet 20. The Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison in Chun City had been left by their predecessors. Its towering walls were fortified with numerous formations, making it easy to defend and difficult to attack. Legend had it that the site had once been a prince's manor of the Void Ruins ancient kingdom, but it had long since been destroyed. Apart from the outer walls, everything had been rebuilt. Li Wei entered the Shaoyang division's encampment, Chang Yujian's excitement erupting as he punched him hard on the chest. Hiding. Can't hide it anymore, can you? How does it feel to break through to Immortal Realm? Though I shouldn't even ask. For everyone else, breakthrough to Immortal Realm is an impossible feat, but you know perfectly well it was nothing for you. Ha ha ha. Chang Yujian roared with laughter, genuinely happy for him. Kai Haohan's massive frame stood in the courtyard, his voice tinged with frustration. Looks like I'm the weakest in the Shaoyang division when it comes to innate talent. You were all hiding your true abilities, while I foolishly thought I was at least above average. Inside the formation, Tang Wanzhou finally relaxed and smiled. Though we suffered a crushing defeat at Fanyi Valley, this battle has finally united our hearts. Without such trials, we would never have truly trusted each other. Without trust, we were riddled with weaknesses, and a mere great void clan nearly annihilated our entire army. Nangong removed her mask, revealing her peerless immortal features, her voice gentle. Even if Jingjun were to infiltrate the Shaoyang division again, in our current state, he wouldn't stand a chance of transmitting any information. Any reckless move would immediately expose him. Li Wei felt a strange unease, knowing her words were meant for a specific, inspoken listener. The foremost figure of Calamity Crossing Temple, the young master Shenji, descended outside the Sentinel Spirit Army's encampment, riding 12 rings of divine light. The formation opened. Clad in a cyan Taoist robe, he entered, moving with the familiarity of someone who frequented the Shaoyang division. He appeared to be in his early 20s, his hair bound with a wooden hairpin. His attire was simple and unadorned, lacking any imposing aura. His features were refined and handsome, though not strikingly beautiful. Had one encountered him on the street, they would have mistaken him for an ordinary disciple of Calamity Crossing Temple, never suspecting he is the peerless prodigy of the temple's new generation, whose talent rivaled the heavens. After entering, the young master Shenji immediately began discussing matters with Tang Wanzhou, focusing primarily on the army of the dead. You speak the truth, he said, this is not a crisis, but a once-in-a-millennium opportunity. The young master Shenji possessed both the ethereal detachment of a recluse and the spirited vigor of a rising star. He continued, Wenren Tinghai is short-sighted, having long lost himself in the power struggle, unable to distinguish between the essential and the trivial. Ji Yu Junxiang would never have acted this way, but alas, he has gone to Chun's. I will seek out Ku Yao, with her intellect and talent, she will undoubtedly share our views. The Rice Palace will be difficult to sway, and the demon clan cannot be relied upon. After the discussion concluded, young master Shenji's gaze fell upon Li Wei, his eyes filled with curiosity. After a moment of contemplation, he approached. I am Shenji, he said, even from the distant Calamity Crossing Temple, I have often heard your name. Pay no heed to the Tai Yin sect's attempts to elevate you through flattery, petty minds can only deceive those with narrow hearts. Even a humble place like the Calamity Crossing Temple can accommodate martial mystic prodigies like Yaoyan and psychic power talents like Zhuoqiu Hongting. The world is vast enough to embrace ancient truths, Tang Wanzhou, and both you and I there are mountains beyond mountains and heavens beyond heavens. Compete only with yourself, not with others. Li Wei, who appreciated those who spoke their minds directly, smiled. A humble place like the Calamity Crossing Temple. Humble in comparison to the world. Shenji replied, but this is a remark only disciples of the Calamity Crossing Temple may make. Anyone else who says it will face my wrath. Farewell. He turned to leave. A thought struck Li Wei. Young Master Shenji, he called out, would you be interested in the true disciple status of the Calamity Crossing Temple? Everyone present could hear the hidden meaning in his words. The young master Shenji smiled and countered, are you asking on behalf of Zhuoqiu Hongting, or Yaoyan? I asked first, Li Wei replied. The young master Shenji said casually, I'm 93 this year. Even if I snatched the true disciple status position from their hands, the world wouldn't think any more of me. At the Calamity Crossing Temple, I can access all the resources a true disciple would have. Let the younger generation have that position, the temple's future for the next 60 years will shine brightly under their leadership. Does this answer put your mind at ease? What about your answer? Actually, don't bother replying. It might only exacerbate the tensions within the Calamity Crossing Temple. The young master Shenji stepped out of the formation and vanished into the nether spirit mist. Li Wei sighed, those who reach the pinnacle are never simple. I'm starting to understand why someone as proud and arrogant as you would call him a friend. You seem a little unhappy. Tang Wanzhou asked with a smile. Li Wei admitted frankly, yeah, after all, you used to have only me as your friend. Friends. Then I'm afraid I must apologize. I'm not the same as before. I've made several new friends, Nangong, Zhao Tang, and Yan Zhiro are all close to me now. And somehow, I've also gained a few formidable enemies, like the Rice Palace's true disciple. The smile vanished from Tang Wanzhou's face as she strode into the barracks. Li Wei met the group's curious and bewildered gazes, pointing at Kai Haohan, Cheng Yujian, and Lu Yi. What's wrong with you three? Why aren't you considered worthy of being friends with the Holy Commander? He hurried inside, releasing spiritual qi to seal the room off from the outside world. Tang Wanzhou stood by the window, gazing outward, but her thoughts were turned inward, contemplating herself. You fought the Rice Palace's true disciple again? Li Wei asked. Exactly. If Nangong hadn't saved me, I would have been killed. You'd never guess who she is, Tang Wanzhou replied. Li Wei chuckled wryly. I might actually know. Tang Wanzhou turned to stare at him, her expression one of astonishment. After a long silence, she retrieved a medicine box and placed it on the table. I've only found 2 5,000-year-old essence herbs so far. I still owe you 2. Essence herbs of this age were considered spiritual herbs, their quality vastly superior. While they couldn't directly trigger a breakthrough for the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, they could propel them significantly closer to the second realm, shortening the time needed for their advancement. Li Wei asked, were you injured gathering these? Given our relationship, why do you insist on settling accounts so meticulously? Tang Wanzhou had no intention of answering his question. She turned back to gaze out the window, sighing after a long silence, I was wrong. I shouldn't have acted impulsively that day. After that, I suddenly realized my heart had shrunk. Do you know, I deliberately used the word, friend, earlier to see if you would care. Do you think that's the kind of magnanimity a young lord should possess? Sensing her emotional turmoil, Li Wei slowly approached and gently embraced her from behind, his hands resting on her slender yet resilient waist. Are you so fixated on the title, young lord? If I ever stop caring about it, half of Tang Wanzhou will have died, she replied. Do you know, when I was inexplicably attacked by the Rice Palace's true disciple, I even felt like I was some kind of concubine, even though she was nothing of the sort. Was it really inexplicable? Li Wei wondered inwardly, sensing that Tang Wanzhou was holding back part of the truth. He wasn't arrogant enough to believe he held such significance. There had to be hidden reasons. Just like the true disciple dispute between Zhuoqiu Hongding and Yaoyan, which had almost nothing to do with him personally. The situation had simply pushed them into those positions. Among all the women he knew, Li Wei had only truly sensed that deep, restrained emotion between man and woman from Tang Wanzhou. With the others, they seemed to remain on the periphery, their relationships hazy, both sides cautiously maintaining their distance. Tang Wanzhou said, when I came of age, my mother told me that while there are an equal number of men and women in the world, emotional distribution is never a fair one-to-one match. Instead, 10 men love one woman, and 10 women love one man, while the rest settle for compromise. She said, you can either be one of those 10 women, compromise, or never fall in love. I had always chosen the last option. It's all the fault of the Six Thoughts Heart's spiritual curse. I never should have gone to the underground immortal mansion. Well, I've vented my emotions now. Tang Wanzhou freed Li Wei's arms, her earlier resentment vanishing, replaced by her usual earnestness and wisdom. Using the power of Shaoyang Star, how long will it take you to break free from the soul return shackle? At least a year or two, Li Wei replied. Tang Wanzhou said, I've made a deal with Nangong. The Void Ruins ancient clan should be arriving secretly within the next few days. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 69, 610, Luo Yinji. 69th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Chu Yutian stood as straight as a halberd atop a densely vegetated hill, gazing at the waterway that divided the ancient city into east and west. He watched as countless Feather Clan demons soared from the misty sacrificial pit myriad burial zone, their faces beaming with satisfaction, as if they had reaped a bountiful harvest. The demon race and demon kingdom dared to act so brazenly and ostentatiously only because of the feigned weakness he had deliberately cultivated. The pale blue mist hung thick in the air crisp and cold like a winter dawn. Everything was shrouded in a hazy blur. His gentle, slender frame and harmless appearance belied his true nature. Clutching a communication talisman, he turned his gaze toward the colossal time stone that lay eternally grounded, meticulously sensing the shifting energies of the world around him. Beneath the time stone, within the nether domain, he experienced a cultivation experience, gaining profound insights into the martial mystic Tao that had never occurred to him before. Wangfu Song, Jingjun, Qingzhao, Huang Hun, and the other Tai Yin envoys stood behind him like stars orbiting the moon, positioned on lower ground so that their gazes could only reach his heels. The elite fallen spirit marquises of the nether realm of the dead, Jade Corpse Marquis, Four-Eared Ghost Monkey Marquis, Silver Corpse Marquis, Fire Cloud Marquis, and others, remained at a respectful distance. Chu Yutian said, 2 reports have arrived from the south. First, the secret of the commander-level armies from ancient Yi City and the 7 vengeful planes entering the Void Ruins ancient kingdom has been exposed. Wang Fusong, his jaw adorned with a short, bristly beard and thick, bushy eyebrows, exuded a masculine aura. Exposure was inevitable once we began our march. With the forces we've already deployed, they're powerless to stop us, even with the revelation. As more troops pour in, our strength will only grow. Jingzhen's, Bai Chuan, shell, its skin now covered in scabs from recent injuries, remained motionless. Chu Yutian's expression remained solemn, betraying neither joy nor anger. The second report, the ruins of Yi Yun Pass lack a space teleportation formation. Fanyi Valley's forces launched an attack, suffering heavy losses. It's highly likely someone deliberately set a trap there. The ruins of Yi Yun Pass were the ancient city where Li Wei had discovered the unknown footprints and the moss-covered wither well. Wang Fusong burst into laughter. Their cleverness has backfired. Setting a trap only confirms the Void Ruins ancient kingdom holds true mysteries, further steeling our resolve to uncover them. Once we unravel these secrets, we'll have completed our most crucial mission. A smile crept across Chu Yutian's lips. Wang Fu's words echo my own thoughts. True Disciple Lord, Qingzhao asked, her voice dripping with urgency, should we now launch a full-scale attack on the Sentinel Spirit Army's stronghold and wipe them out in one swift strike? Qingzhao's body was covered in burns, her once delicate face twisted into a grotesque mask, injuries that would take far longer than a few days to heal. Her eyes blazed with icy fury, all traces of her former cheerful and lively demeanor extinguished. To be captured by a martial mystic cultivator whose cultivation level was far below her own was an unbearable humiliation, a stain that would haunt her for life. Chu Yutian turned to gaze at Qingzhao's scarred, delicate frame, his eyes softening with pity. You're putting the cart before the horse. Eliminating the Sentinel Spirit Army isn't our primary objective in entering the Void Ruins ancient kingdom. Don't let anger and hatred cloud your judgment and decision-making. Wang Fusong, his brow furrowed with concern, cautioned, true disciple, Tang Wanzhou is no ordinary opponent. With the aid of the Dragon Soul Source Light, she'll likely break through to the peak of the third immortal realm within 2 to 3 years. By then, she'll become the second Ji Yu Junxiang. Ji Yu Junxiang was a towering figure, an insurmountable peak for any young immortal realm martial mystic cultivator to aspire to. Wang Fusong himself was an extraordinary figure with immense pride, yet he spoke of Ji Yu Junxiang with profound respect. To him, being called the second Ji Yu Junxiang was the highest honor and greatest recognition one could bestow upon an enemy. Chu Yutian countered, my assessment of Tang Wanzhou is even higher. At the peak of the third immortal realm, she could defeat Ji Yu Junxiang. Boom. The assembled crowd, including the elite fallen spirit marquises observing from the distant nether realm of the dead, exchanged astonished glances, dismissing Chu Yutian's claim as mere hyperbole. Ji Yu Junxiang had never been defeated by anyone in the same realm. Even those dwelling deep within the nether realm of the dead had heard of his legend, a testament to his unparalleled dominance. Same realm meant that even in the early stages of a realm, he could vanquish any opponent within that realm, including true disciples of the ancient sect and imperial disciples. Rumor had it that Ji Yu Junxiang had once slain 2 true disciples of the immortal realm from the Rice Palace while still in the same realm. This forced the palace to hastily promote Shang Wulian and Si Wuyan as new true disciples, only to find them to be 2 stalks of wild rice too weak to stand upright. To kill 2 true disciples of the ancient sect in the same realm, and prevent them from even escaping, was an unprecedented feat. Such a feat was exceedingly rare throughout history. Chu Yutian continued, however, Tang Wanzhou reaching the peak of the third immortal realm doesn't guarantee victory over Ji Yu Junxiang. Her rapid breakthrough means she hasn't had time to refine her Dao techniques. The foundations of her spiritual qi and immortal scripture won't be as solid as Ji Yu Junxiang's 60-year mastery of the Emperor Demon diagram. She needs at least 5 years at the peak of the third immortal realm to stand a chance, assuming Ji Yu Junxiang remains where he is, waiting for her. What truly makes her unfathomable and poses an invisible threat is another member of the Shaoyang division. In 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised by any level of power he attains. This person is utterly fascinating. Qingzhao asked coldly, if that's the case, why not eliminate them now? Chu Yutian sighed, they're protected by the formation within their stronghold. We'd need several times our current strength to breach it. Even then, killing them would come at a tremendous cost. We'd also have to contend with attacks from various major powers, who might strike at any moment. If we rush this battle, we risk our own destruction. Does this mean we can only watch helplessly as our enemies grow stronger? Qingzhao asked, unwilling to accept the situation. She made an extreme decision in her heart. She would avenge herself against the Void Ruins ancient kingdom. Chu Yutian replied, if we're anxious, others must be even more so. Why not sit back and watch the tigers fight? Let them tear each other apart first, creating irreconcilable rifts. Wang Fusong asked, does the true disciple mean we should focus our efforts on finding the Void Ruins ancient clan? But where do we even begin? Whoosh. Chu Yutian pressed his palm forward, and spiritual light erupted. A map of the Void Ruins ancient kingdom materialized within the pale blue mist. The Wither Flourish zone marked its border. Ancient ruins, nether domains, and ruins were marked across the map. Chu Yutian explained, let's assume the Void Ruins ancient clan can truly traverse the Wither Flourish zone. And let's further assume they're using space teleportation formations. These formations wouldn't be near the border, the most likely locations are within the 3 major nether domains. Why? Someone among the distant fallen spirit marquises asked. Chu Yutian explained, the Void Ruins ancient clan seeks to cultivate using the time power of the nether domain, rapidly enhancing their clan's strength. Yet we've found almost no traces of their presence, suggesting the space teleportation formation transported them directly into the nether domain's depths. We've thoroughly explored the heavenly capital river nether domain. Here's the plan. Jade Corpse Marquis, lead the army south and mobilize all forces. Next, we'll garrison our troops at the second largest nether domain, Nether Spiritual Mountain. He pointed to the nether domain patch located just 10,000 miles from Chun City. While searching for the space teleportation formation, we'll also gauge the Void Ruins ancient clan's reaction and maintain readiness to strike Chun City at any moment. When the time comes, we can easily crush the Sentinel Spirit Army and the major power's strongholds. Huang Hun spread this news. Huang Hun was astonished and puzzled. Wouldn't this give the enemy an opening? There's no opening to exploit. The enemy is concentrated in Chun City, leaving us unable to act, Chu Yutian said with a smile. Jiyu Junxiang, Tang Wanzhou, Shen Ji, and the others, if they possess even a shred of foresight, they won't simply wait to be annihilated. They'll likely ambush us along the way. This is the perfect opportunity to lure them out of Chun City and eliminate them in one swift strike. I'll monitor the Sentinel Spirit Army's stronghold to prevent them from fleeing to the Void Ruins ancient kingdom upon hearing of our approaching forces. I believe this is highly probable. Qingzhao said. Of course someone needs to monitor the Sentinel Spirit Army's movements, Chu Yutian said, but I have better candidates. The 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis and a slender figure radiating icy chi emerged from the blue mist. The 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis has exceptionally keen senses, able to hear the faintest whispers and see the most subtle movements. His combat prowess rivals that of Bai Chuan at his peak. Chu Yutian pointed to the woman wearing a wide-brimmed hat and a veil that concealed her face. Allow me to introduce Zishi, Luo Yinji. The Taiyan sect members turned to look, their eyes burning with curiosity. This legendary figure, rumored to be the most skilled among the 12 Taiyan envoys, was someone even they were seeing in person for the first time. With the arrangements finalized, the assembled experts dispersed to their respective duties. Chu Yutian stroked Qingzhao's scorched face. How could you be so careless? When word of this reaches the sect, you'll face severe punishment. I underestimated him. Li Weiyi's corpse manipulation secret technique is far more formidable than I anticipated. Don't look at me. I'm hideous now. Qingzhao lowered his head. Chu Yutian seized her lips in a kiss before stripping her bare, revealing her scorched body. I'm badly injured, Qingzhao pleaded, her eyes filled with anguish, many bones are broken. Her pleas were futile. Chu Yutian seemed to find her even more alluring in her wounded state. 6 months later. Whoosh. Li Weiyi returned from the blood mud space to the Sentinel Spirit Army's barracks. Guarding the barracks was Second Phoenix, who had already reached the second realm of the Immortal Realm. Second Phoenix possessed the Soul Devour ability and the Immortal Seeking Pearl. After consuming a 5,000-year-old essence herbs, he was the first to achieve a breakthrough. The remaining 2 5,000-year-old Millennium Essence herbs had been given to Big Phoenix and Seventh Phoenix. Over the past 6 months, they had also entered the transformative breakthrough phase and were currently in deep slumber. Has she shown any unusual behavior? Li Weiyi asked. Second Phoenix replied, I've been watching her closely. She's either raising silkworms or cultivating her psychic power, quite dull, really. How are the silkworms doing? Li Weiyi inquired. They're doing well. They hatched about half a month ago. Second Phoenix said. Li Weiyi's face lit up with joy. He immediately pushed open the door and hurried out of the barracks. Outside, under the moonlight, 3 circular stone platforms had been erected. The stone platform was covered with time stones, their surfaces glowing with a soft, ethereal light. Spread across the time stones were tender green leaves of a 100-year-old precious herb. Dozens of young chun silkworms clung to the leaves, devouring them with a dense rustling sound. Qing Zijin, dressed in the spiritual artifact robes of the Immortal Haze sect, white robes with a black sash, stood with her dark hair cascading down her back like a waterfall, reaching her shapely waist and hips. A simple red cord tied her hair loosely, giving her an air of relaxed serenity, like a young female cultivator who had yet to shave her head. She carefully diluted the extreme daybreak light dew given to her by Li Weiyi and evenly sprinkled it over the precious medicine leaves, tending to them with meticulous care. The time stones and chun silkworms had been entrusted to Tang Wanzhou by members of the Void Ruins ancient clan half a year prior. Each Xiaoyang guard received 10 silkworm eggs. Chun silkworms mature into moths in 3 years, spin cocoons in 3 days, and live as moths for 3 months. Gu Junxiang had entered Chun specifically to find these Chun silkworms. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.